Chapter 1548, The Coming of the Fourth. Play volume 00:00/00:00 Pub Future Fantasy TV 03 True Vidful Screen Ads by Pub Future. Chapter 1548, The Coming of the Fourth. Author's Note. Unedited chapter. The room fell silent as tension rose heavily. Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor over their eyes, spoke up. And the fifth premonition? What is it? And how can we prevent it? Cheyenne's expression darkened. The fifth premonition is the most catastrophic of all. It foretells a cosmic event that will tear apart the very fabric of our universe, plunging it into eternal darkness. We do not yet know when or where it will occur, but we must be prepared to face it. A murmur of alarm spread through the hall, the delegates voicing their fears and concerns. Cheyenne raised his hand to calm them. We are not without hope. Our research has also provided us with insights into combating the dark plane. We have developed new technologies and strategies to counter its influence, but we must act swiftly and decisively. One of the delegates, a regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice, stood up. Grand Commander Cheyenne, what are our next steps? How can we unite our forces to face this impending threat? Cheyenne's gaze swept over the room, his resolve unwavering. We must form a unified front, combining our resources and knowledge. We need to fortify our defenses and launch a coordinated effort to push back against the dark plane. Additionally, we must locate and protect any remaining celestial guardians, as they hold the key to our salvation. Another delegate, a lithe being with luminescent wings, interjected. What about the premonitions? Can we find a way to prevent the fifth from coming to pass? Cheyenne took a deep breath. That is our ultimate goal. We must decipher the prophecy further and find any means to avert the final disaster. This will require unprecedented cooperation and sacrifice from all of us. The delegates nodded in agreement, the gravity of the situation forging a sense of solidarity among them. They knew that the fate of the universe rested on their shoulders, and they were ready to face the challenges ahead. As the meeting continued, strategies were discussed, alliances were strengthened, and plans were set into motion. The Universal Alliance was determined to stand together against the dark plane, their resolve unwavering. In the midst of these discussions, Cheyenne received a private communication from scientist Merkill. The message was urgent, and Cheyenne excused himself from the main hall to take it. Merkill, what is it? Cheyenne asked, his voice tense. Merkill's holographic image appeared before him, his eyes filled with a mix of excitement and urgency. Grand Commander, we have made a significant breakthrough. We have developed a new weapon, one that harnesses the energy of the dark plane itself. It has the potential to turn the tide in our favor. Cheyenne's eyes widened. That's incredible news, Merkill. How soon can it be ready for deployment? Merkill hesitated. There are still tests to be conducted, and we need to ensure its stability. But if all goes well, we could have a functional prototype within a few weeks. Cheyenne nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. Keep me updated on your progress. This could be the key to defeating the dark plane once and for all. Returning to the main hall, Cheyenne shared the news with the delegates. The room buzzed with renewed hope and determination. They knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay in their path. As the meeting drew to a close, the delegates stood united, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were not alone in this fight. The Universal Alliance would stand together against the darkness, their combined strength a beacon of hope in the face of impending doom. Cheyenne addressed the room one last time, his voice filled with conviction. We will face this threat together. We will protect our universe and ensure that the light of hope continues to shine. Let us move forward with courage and determination. The future of our worlds depends on it. With that, The delegates dispersed, returning to their respective planets with a renewed sense of purpose. The battle against the Dark Plane was far from over, but they were ready to fight, their hearts united in the quest to protect their universe from the looming threat. In the days that followed, preparations were made, defenses were fortified, and alliances were strengthened. The Universal Alliance stood ready to face the Dark Plane, their resolve unwavering and their spirits unyielding. The fate of the universe hung in the balance, but they were determined to prevail. And as the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. SS in the Grand Hall of the Universal Alliance. The air was thick with tension and anticipation as delegates from across the universe gathered to discuss the impending threat of the Dark Plane. Grand Commander Cheyenne stood at the center, his silver hair catching the light and the diamond shard embedded in his forehead gleaming with authority. The holographic display behind him flickered with images of the Dark Plane and the events that had unfolded. Cheyenne cleared his throat, drawing the attention of the assembled delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, we have much to discuss today. In addition to the revelations we have uncovered about the Dark Plane and the premonitions marking the beginning of the end for our universe, there is more information that needs to be shared. The room fell silent, all eyes on Cheyenne as he continued. Based on information provided by Gustav before his departure to planet Humbad, we have come to understand that these premonitions are actually sacrifices. They are part of a ritual to break a seal that was put in place to prevent beings from the Dark Plane from invading our universe. A murmur of shock and confusion rippled through the hall. Delegates exchanged anxious glances, and the air buzzed with questions and theories. A delegate from the Alarian Consortium, a tall figure with emerald skin and glowing eyes, stood up. Grand Commander Cheyenne, are you saying that these catastrophic events are not random, but deliberate acts to weaken the seal? Cheyenne nodded gravely. Yes, each premonition serves as a sacrifice, a necessary step to break the seal and allow the Dark Plane's inhabitants to enter our universe. The Celestial Guardian's disappearance, the plague, the rise of the Dark Plane's influence, and the destruction of planet Ozius. All of these events were orchestrated to serve this purpose. Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor, raised a hand. If this is true, what can we do to stop it? How can we prevent the final premonition from occurring? Cheyenne took a deep breath, his expression resolute. We must focus our efforts on understanding the nature of the seal and finding a way to reinforce it. Additionally, we need to locate and protect any remaining Celestial Guardians, as they may hold the key to preventing the final premonition. The delegates began discussing various theories and potential strategies, their voices rising in a cacophony of concern and urgency. Cheyenne raised his hand to calm them. Please let me continue. There is more. The room quieted down, and Cheyenne continued. Using the Death Angel as a research material, our scientists have discovered how to open a gateway to the Dark Plane. This information is both a potential threat and an opportunity. It gives us a way to directly confront the Dark Plane, but it also means the Dark Plane can open gateways into our universe. A delegate with luminescent wings, representing the Celestial Guardians, stood up. Grand Commander, how did we come by this knowledge, and what are the risks involved in using it? Cheyenne gestured to the holographic display, which now showed detailed schematics of the gateway technology. The Death Angel, once a powerful entity of the Dark Plane, provided us with invaluable insights. By studying its physiology and the energies it harnessed, we developed a method to create a controlled gateway. However, this technology is highly volatile and dangerous. Misuse could lead to catastrophic consequences. The luminescent-winged delegate nodded, their face grave. And if we use this technology to confront the Dark Plane directly, what are our chances of success? Cheyenne's expression hardened. That depends on our preparation and coordination. We will need to fortify our defenses and develop strategies to counter the Dark Plane's influence. It will be a perilous mission, but we cannot afford to stand idly by. A regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice addressed Cheyenne. Grand Commander, what is your plan? How do you propose we proceed given the gravity of these revelations? Cheyenne looked around the room, his gaze steady. First, we must solidify our alliances and combine our resources. Every civilization here must contribute to the defense of our universe. Second, we will deploy reconnaissance teams to locate any remaining celestial guardians and protect them at all costs. Third, we will continue our research into the Dark Plane and the seal, looking for ways to reinforce it and prevent the final premonition. The room was filled with nods of agreement and murmurs of support. Cheyenne continued, his voice resolute. We must also prepare for the possibility of direct confrontation. Using the gateway technology, we will launch a coordinated strike against the Dark Plane. This will be a last resort, but it is a contingency we must be ready for. A delegate from the technologically advanced Hyperion Dominion, a being with a sleek, metallic exoskeleton, spoke up, Grand Commander, we have the technology and expertise to assist in developing and fortifying the gateway defenses. We will commit our resources to this effort. Chapter 1549, Unlocking Universal Truths. Chapter 1549, Unlocking Universal Truths, author's note. Unedited chapter, another delegate, a tall, ethereal figure from the mystic enclave, added, we possess ancient knowledge and arcane abilities that may help reinforce the seal. Our scholars will work alongside your scientists to find a solution. Cheyenne nodded, gratitude and determination in his eyes. Thank you. Your support is invaluable. Together, we stand a chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe. The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Cheyenne took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. As the meeting drew to a close, Cheyenne addressed the room one last time. We have a long and difficult road ahead, but I am confident that together we can overcome this threat. Let us move forward with courage, determination, and unity. The future of our universe depends on it. The delegates dispersed, returning to their respective planets with a renewed sense of purpose and resolve. Plans were set into motion, and preparations began in earnest. The Universal Alliance stood ready to face the Dark Plane, their combined strength a beacon of hope in the face of impending doom. Back on Earth, in the high-tech laboratories, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop and fortify the gateway technology. Scholars and mystics from the Mystic Enclave collaborated with them, sharing their ancient knowledge and arcane abilities. The air was filled with the hum of advanced machinery and the quiet murmur of intense discussions. Grand Commander Cheyenne oversaw the efforts, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. The fate of the universe depended on their success, and failure was not an option. In the days and weeks that followed, progress was made. The gateway technology was refined, defenses were fortified, and reconnaissance teams were deployed to locate and protect the celestial guardians. The Universal Alliance stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face the Dark Plane with unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to fight, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. Grand Commander Cheyenne stood at the forefront, his heart filled with determination. "We will protect our universe," he vowed. "We will stand together and face the darkness, and we will prevail." With that, the Universal Alliance moved forward, their combined strength and unity a beacon of hope in the face of the impending threat. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by their resolve and the strength they had gained from their shared purpose. SSS, the Grand Hall of the Universal Alliance, continued to buzz with tension and urgency as the meeting pressed on. The holographic displays flickered with images of the dark plane and the events that had unfolded, casting an eerie glow over the assembled delegates. The air was thick with the weight of the revelations shared by Grand Commander Cheyenne. One of the dignitaries, a stern-looking figure with scales that shimmered in the dim light, rose to address the assembly. "Grand Commander Cheyenne, given that we now possess the technology to open a gateway to the dark plane, it seems clear that we must take immediate action. We should strike at the heart of this threat and destroy the forces that threaten our existence." A murmur of agreement spread through the hall, the delegates nodding in unison. Another alliance leader, a tall figure with elongated limbs and a crown of glowing crystals, added, "Yes, we must not wait for the fifth premonition to come to pass. If we can enter the dark plane, we should launch a preemptive strike and end this threat once and for all." Grand Commander Cheyenne raised his hand, signaling for silence. "I understand your concerns and your desire to take immediate action. However, there are critical factors that we must consider before making such a decision." The room quieted, all eyes on Cheyenne as he continued. "The Death Angel that we have in captivity is not the most powerful entity within the dark plane. In fact, it occupies a relatively mid-level position in the hierarchy of power there. Despite this, it has already posed a significant threat to us here. This is because being trapped in our universe has weakened it considerably. In its own realm, the dark plane, it would be far more powerful." A ripple of unease spread through the delegates. One of them, a stocky figure with metallic skin and a deep, rumbling voice, asked, "What are you saying, Grand Commander? Are you suggesting that we would be at a disadvantage if we entered the dark plane?" Cheyenne nodded gravely. "Yes, that is precisely what I am saying. The dark plane is a realm where the very fabric of reality is different. The entities there draw strength from their environment, becoming exponentially more powerful. Conversely, we would find ourselves weakened in that realm. The forces we would face are not only numerous, but also hundreds of times more powerful than we are." The hall erupted into a cacophony of voices, delegates voicing their shock and concern. The magnitude of the threat was becoming increasingly clear, and the idea of entering the dark plane seemed far more daunting. The dignitary with shimmering scales stood again, his voice cutting through the noise. "Grand Commander Cheyenne, if what you say is true, then how do we combat this threat? Waiting for the final premonition seems like a death sentence. We need a plan." Cheyenne took a deep breath, his expression resolute. "Our best course of action is to fortify our defenses and find a way to strengthen the seal that keeps the dark plane at bay. We must continue our research to understand the nature of the seal and look for any means to reinforce it. Additionally, we need to protect any remaining celestial guardians, as they may hold the key to preventing the final premonition." A regal figure with an elaborate headdress and a deep, resonant voice addressed Cheyenne. "Grand Commander, what measures can we take to ensure the seal remains intact? How can we fortify our defenses against an enemy that is far more powerful in their own realm?" Cheyenne gestured to the holographic display, which now showed detailed schematics of defensive technologies and strategies. "We must combine our resources and knowledge to develop advanced defensive measures. Our scientists and engineers are already working on fortifying the seal using the insights gained from the Death Angel. Additionally, we need to deploy reconnaissance teams to locate any remaining celestial guardians and ensure their protection. Another delegate, a lithe being with luminescent wings, interjected, "And what about the gateway technology? If we cannot enter the dark plane without weakening ourselves, how do we use this technology to our advantage?" Cheyenne's gaze was steady as he replied, "The gateway technology is a double-edged sword. While it allows us to open a portal to the dark plane, it also poses a significant risk if used improperly. We must use it strategically, potentially as a means to divert or contain threats rather than directly confront them. Our focus should be on strengthening our defenses here and preventing the dark plane from gaining a foothold in our universe." The delegates nodded in agreement, their expressions reflecting a mix of determination and apprehension. One of them, a tall, ethereal figure from the Mystic Enclave, spoke up, "Grand Commander, we possess ancient knowledge and arcane abilities that may help reinforce the seal. Our scholars will work alongside your scientists to find a solution." SS Cheyenne acknowledged the offer with gratitude. "Thank you. Your support is invaluable. Together, we stand a better chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe." The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Cheyenne took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. As the meeting progressed, Cheyenne outlined a comprehensive plan. "First, we will establish a task force dedicated to fortifying the seal. This task force will be composed of scientists, engineers, mystics, and strategists from all our allied civilizations. Their primary objective will be to reinforce the seal and prevent any further weakening." He continued, "Second, we will deploy reconnaissance teams to locate and protect any remaining celestial guardians. Their safety is paramount, as they hold the key to our defense. Third, we will develop and deploy advanced defensive technologies, combining our resources and expertise to create a formidable barrier against any incursion from the dark plane." The delegates listened intently, their resolve strengthening with each word. Cheyenne concluded, "Finally, we must remain vigilant and adaptive. The dark plane is a cunning and powerful adversary. We must be ready to respond to any threat and adjust our strategies as needed." A delegate from the technologically advanced Hyperion Dominion, a being with a sleek, metallic exoskeleton, spoke up, "Grand Commander, we have the technology and expertise to assist in developing and fortifying the gateway defenses. We will commit our resources to this effort." Another delegate, a short figure with silver hair and a holographic visor, added, "Our intelligence networks will be mobilized to monitor any signs of dark plane activity. We will provide early warning and strategic insights to ensure we are not caught off guard." Cheyenne nodded, his expression filled with determination. "Thank you. Your contributions will be crucial to our success. Together, we stand a chance of preventing the final premonition and protecting our universe." The discussions continued, with delegates proposing various strategies and sharing their resources. Cheyenne took a moment to reflect on the enormity of the task ahead. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and the responsibility weighed heavily on his shoulders. Yet, seeing the unity and resolve of the Universal Alliance gave him hope. Grand Commander Cheyenne oversaw the efforts, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. The fate of the universe depended on their success, and failure was not an option. Chapter 1550, The Deities Scuffle. Chapter 1550, The Deities Scuffle. Author's note. Unedited chapter. The tension in the Grand Hall of Unity was at an all-high. The delegates were still reeling from the revelations about the Dark Plane and the premonitions when Grand Commander Cheyenne raised his hand for silence once more. "Ladies and gentlemen," Cheyenne began, his voice steady but carrying the weight of the news he was about to deliver, "I have additional information to share. Some of Earth's greatest scientists have been working tirelessly to find a way to counter the threat from the dark plane." The room grew silent, every delegate's attention fixed on Cheyenne. He continued, "They have developed an amplification tool, a device that allows our warriors to enter the dark plane without suffering the reduction in strength we previously feared. This tool absorbs power from the warriors' future selves and the ambient energy of the dark plane, amplifying their strength multiple folds." The delegates erupted in a chorus of excited murmurs and exclamations. The room buzzed with energy as representatives from various civilizations turned to each other, discussing the potential of such a device. A dignitary with scales that shimmered in the dim light stood up, a broad smile on his face. "This is incredible news, Grand Commander. Earth's ingenuity has provided us with a fighting chance. We must commend their fast thinking and problem-solving capabilities." Others joined in, their voices a mix of admiration and hope. "Indeed, Earth has once again proven to be a beacon of innovation," added another delegate with elongated limbs and a crown of glowing crystals. Cheyenne raised his hand again, and the hall fell silent. His expression was somber, contrasting sharply with the delegates' newfound optimism. "While I appreciate your commendations, I must inform you of the grave side effects associated with this amplification tool." The room fell silent, the delegates' faces turning from hopeful to anxious. Cheyenne's eyes swept across the assembly before he spoke again. "The amplification tool, while effective, has a significant cost. Any soldier who uses it will die afterward. The process of drawing energy from their future selves and the dark plane is too much for any being to withstand." A heavy silence settled over the hall. The delegates looked at each other, the weight of Cheyenne's words sinking in. The realization that this powerful tool came at the ultimate price left a bitter taste in their mouths. The previously enthusiastic dignitary with shimmering scales was the first to break the silence. "Grand Commander, this news is devastating. How can we ask our warriors to make such a sacrifice?" Cheyenne nodded, his face reflecting the inner turmoil he felt. "I understand your concerns. This is not a decision to be taken lightly, but we are faced with an existential threat. The beings of the dark plane will not show mercy, and our universe is at stake. We must weigh the cost of using this tool against the potential destruction of all we hold dear." A tall, ethereal figure from the mystic enclave, their voice calm but filled with sorrow, spoke up. "We must ensure that those who choose to use this tool are fully aware of the consequences and are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. It is a heavy burden, but one that may be necessary to save countless lives." Another delegate with metallic skin and a deep, rumbling voice addressed the room. "Our warriors are brave, but we cannot simply send them to their deaths without exploring every possible alternative. Are there no other options, Grand Commander?" Cheyenne took a deep breath. "We are continuing our research, and we are exploring every possible avenue. But as of now, this amplification tool is our best chance to confront the dark plane on equal footing. We must also focus on strengthening the seal and preventing the final premonition, as these efforts are crucial to our survival." The room erupted in a mix of despair and determination. Delegates voiced their fears and hopes, the atmosphere charged with the gravity of the situation. Cheyenne allowed the discussions to continue for a moment before raising his hand again. "Please, everyone, I understand the gravity of what I've told you. We must move forward with caution and unity. We need volunteers who understand the stakes and are willing to make this sacrifice. We must also continue to work together to find other solutions. Our universe's survival depends on our combined efforts." The delegates nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a mix of resolve and sorrow. A delegate with luminescent wings, representing the celestial guardians, stood. Grand Commander, our people have always been protectors of this universe. We will provide volunteers who are prepared to make this sacrifice. Their courage will not be in vain. Another delegate, a regal figure with an elaborate headdress, added, we must honor those who choose to use the amplification tool by ensuring their sacrifice is not forgotten. We will create a memorial to their bravery and dedication. Cheyenne bowed his head in gratitude. Thank you, your support, and unity give me hope. We will proceed with caution, and we will honor the sacrifices made in this struggle. Together, we will face the dark plane and protect our universe. As the meeting continued, the delegates worked together to develop a plan. They discussed how to fortify the seal, protect the celestial guardians, and deploy the amplification tool strategically. Each step was carefully considered, with the understanding that the stakes had never been higher. In the high-tech laboratories on Earth, scientists and engineers continued their tireless work. The air was filled with the hum of advanced machinery, the quiet murmur of intense discussions, and the occasional spark of inspiration. The amplification tool was refined, its design optimized for maximum efficiency and safety, though the ultimate cost remained. Grand Commander Cheyenne visited the laboratories frequently, his presence a constant source of strength and motivation. He spoke with the scientists and engineers, offering his insights and encouragement. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but he was determined to see it through. In the days and weeks that followed, progress was made. The gateway technology was refined, defenses were fortified, and reconnaissance teams were deployed to locate and protect the celestial guardians. The Universal Alliance stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, the Universal Alliance prepared to face the dark plane with unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, but they were ready to fight, guided by the strength and wisdom they had gained from their shared resolve. Grand Commander Cheyenne stood at the forefront, his heart filled with determination. We will protect our universe, he vowed. We will stand together and face the darkness, and we will prevail. SSS with that. The Universal Alliance moved forward, their combined strength and unity a beacon of hope in the face of the impending threat. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by their resolve and the strength they had gained from their shared purpose. SS Gustav had been in Dimension 6 for what felt like an eternity. The passage of time seemed distorted in this place, the air heavy with an otherworldly energy. The realm itself was an empty city, maintaining its mechanical and incredibly futuristic constructs despite the desolation that had befallen Humbad. It was a stark contrast to the ruins outside, a testament to the advanced civilization that had once thrived here. He found himself in awe of the towering spires, the sleek lines of the buildings, and the humming of machines that seemed to operate on their own, defying the decay of time. Yet, there was a haunting emptiness, a sense of loss that permeated every corner. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional whir and click of the constructs. Gustav had spent most of his time in a particular construct, an enormous chamber filled with holographic displays and intricate machinery. This construct had shown him the truth about planet Humbad's origin. It was a place where history played out before his eyes, the entire planet reconstructed in vivid detail. He stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by holographic images that flickered and shifted, creating a panoramic view of Humbad in its prime. The advanced technology brought the past to life, allowing him to walk through the city as it had once been, filled with vibrant energy and life. How did it come to this? Gustav whispered to himself, his voice echoing in the empty chamber. He felt a deep sense of connection to the place, as if he were witnessing a part of his own heritage. The holographic playback showed bustling streets filled with the inhabitants of Humbad, their movements fluid and graceful. Tall, slender beings with an ethereal glow moved through the city, their clothes shimmering in the artificial light. The air was filled with the hum of advanced vehicles and the soft murmur of conversations. These people, Gustav thought, they were so advanced, so full of life. What happened to them? As he walked through the holographic city, he felt a pang of sadness. He hadn't even had the time to properly think about what had happened to Miss Amy or grieve her loss. The mission had consumed him, driving him forward with relentless determination. But now, in this silent, empty city, the weight of her sacrifice pressed heavily on his heart. "Miss Amy," he murmured, "you gave everything for me to be here. I won't let your sacrifice be in vain." The holographic images shifted, showing the once thriving city beginning to fall into disarray. The vibrant lights dimmed, the streets grew emptier, and the inhabitants seemed to fade away. Gustav watched as the planet's decline played out before him, the advanced technology unable to prevent the inevitable decay. He reached out to touch one of the holographic figures, a young child with wide, curious eyes. His hand passed through the image, and the child dissolved into a cascade of light. "What happened to you?" Gustav wondered aloud. The playback continued, showing scenes of chaos and destruction. The once proud buildings crumbled, and the ground split open, revealing the molten core beneath. The inhabitants of Humbad fought desperately to save their world, but their efforts were in vain. The planet was dragged into the stagnant, siderous void, its fate sealed by forces beyond their control. Gustav's mind raced as he pieced together the story. The warp demolator, he thought. They knew it would happen and they tried to stop it, but they couldn't. He felt a deep sense of empathy for the people of Humbad. They had faced an insurmountable challenge, and despite their advanced technology and determination, they had been unable to save their world. The realization filled him with a renewed sense of purpose. "I must learn from their mistakes," he resolved. "I must find a way to protect our universe from the same fate." The holographic playback shifted again, showing the planet's surface consumed by molten magma. The desolation was complete, and the once great city lay in ruins. Gustav watched in silence, the gravity of the situation settling over him like a heavy shroud. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. "Miss Amy," he thought, "you believed in me. You trusted me to find the answers and use them to protect our future. I won't let you down." Opening his eyes, he looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. "This place holds the key," he realized. "The knowledge and technology of Humbad are here, preserved in Dimension 6. I just need to unlock it." He approached a central console, its surface covered in glowing symbols and controls. Placing his hand on the interface, he felt a surge of energy as the construct responded to his touch. The holographic images shifted, revealing a map of the city and its various constructs. "Show me the central archive," Gustav commanded, his voice steady. The map zoomed in on a particular section of the city, highlighting a massive structure at its heart. The archive was the repository of all the knowledge and technology of Humbad, a treasure trove of information that could provide the answers he sought. "That's where I need to go," he thought, determination filling his heart. As he made his way through the holographic city, the scenes of the past continued to play out around him. He saw the inhabitants in their daily lives, their hopes and dreams, their struggles and triumphs. He felt a deep connection to them, a kinship born of shared adversity. "Your legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed silently. "I will honor your memory by using what I learn here to protect our universe." The journey to the Central Archive was long and arduous, but Gustav pressed on, driven by a sense of purpose. The constructs around him seemed to come alive as he approached the archive, the machinery humming with energy and the holograms flickering with anticipation. Finally, he stood before the massive doors of the archive, their surface covered in intricate carvings and symbols. Placing his hand on the door, he felt a surge of energy as it responded to his touch. The doors slowly opened, revealing the vast interior of the archive. Rows upon rows of glowing consoles and holographic displays filled the space, each one containing a wealth of information. Gustav's heart raced as he realized the magnitude of what lay before him. The knowledge of an entire civilization, preserved for millennia, was now at his fingertips. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the archive, ready to begin his search. "This is it," he thought. "The answers are here. I just need to find them." As he began to explore the archive, he felt a sense of purpose and determination like never before. The weight of Miss Amy's sacrifice and the legacy of Humbad pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he welcomed it. He knew that he was meant to be here, that his journey had led him to this moment. "I will find a way," he vowed. "I will protect our universe, no matter the cost." Hours turned into days as Gustav delved into the wealth of information contained in the archive. He learned about the advanced technology of Humbad, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. The knowledge and technology of Humbad would provide the answers he needed to protect their universe and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed determination, he continued his search, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. Chapter 1551, The Blood of Change. Chapter 1551, The Blood of Change, Author's Note. Unedited chapter The Construct continued to play out the past for Gustav, revealing the intricate and mesmerizing history of planet Humbad and its inhabitants. As the holographic images shifted and reformed around him, Gustav was transported back in time, witnessing the truth about how everything began. "Humans have always believed that we were the first intelligent species," Gustav thought, watching the scenes unfold. "But the Slarkovs were here long before us, their civilization thriving while Earth was still in its infancy." The holographic city came to life, filled with beings that bore a striking resemblance to humans but with distinct animalistic features. Some had horns curling elegantly from their heads, others had elongated ears, and many had scaly or iridescent skin that shimmered in the artificial light. They moved with a grace and purpose that spoke of their advanced intelligence and culture. Gustav marveled at their appearance. They looked so different, yet so familiar. A blend of human and animal traits, creating a unique and diverse species. The Slarkovs were truly remarkable. The playback showed the bustling streets of Humbad, filled with the daily activities of its inhabitants. Advanced vehicles zipped through the air, and towering buildings gleamed with the reflection of the twin suns in their sky. The architecture was a harmonious blend of functionality and beauty, with sleek lines and intricate designs that seemed to pulse with energy. Earth was a neighboring planet in their solar system, Gustav thought, the holographic images shifting to show the cosmic relationship between Humbad and Earth. It was so close that the distance between them was shorter than the distance from Earth to Mercury, but Earth didn't even have humans back then. The scene changed, showing Earth as a barren, lifeless world. The planet's surface was a desolate landscape, devoid of the flora and fauna that would one day flourish there. In stark contrast, Humbad was a vibrant, thriving world, teeming with life and advanced civilizations. Humbad had already borne intelligent species for millennia, Gustav mused. The Slarkovs were the most intelligent, their technology far surpassing anything humanity has achieved even today. The playback shifted again, showing the development of the Slarkovs' technology. Gustav watched as they harnessed the power of their planet's natural resources, creating energy sources that were clean and inexhaustible. They built towering structures that reached into the sky, their designs elegant and efficient. The Slarkovs had achieved a level of technological sophistication that seemed almost magical. They were so far ahead, Gustav thought, awe and admiration filling his heart. Their understanding of science and technology was unparalleled. They must have had such a profound impact on their world. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the Dark Plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed, silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the Dark Plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. The past continued to unfold before Gustav, revealing more layers of the Slarkovs' history and the challenges they faced. The holographic playback showed a time when Humbad existed in an era dominated by powerful beings who were essentially deities. These beings possessed unimaginable power, and their very presence could alter the fabric of reality. Gustav watched in awe as the images shifted to show these deities titanic figures of immense strength and majesty. They moved with a grace that belied their size, their forms shimmering with otherworldly energy. Their battles were cataclysmic, shaking the very foundations of the cosmos. The deities, Gustav thought, beings of such immense power that their battles could affect entire worlds. How did the Slarkovs survive in such a time? The playback showed one such battle taking place just outside their solar system. The deities clashed with a force that sent shockwaves rippling through space. Even though the battle was far from Humbad, the residual energies from the conflict were enough to cause catastrophic damage on the planet. Gustav's eyes widened as he saw the planet shake, the ground splitting open and buildings crumbling. The inhabitants of Humbad screamed and ran for cover, but many were caught in the devastation. The scene was heart-wrenching, the loss of life immense. They were caught in the crossfire of a conflict that had nothing to do with them. Gustav realized, his heart heavy with empathy. Innocent lives lost because of the battles of gods. The holographic images showed the aftermath of the battle. The once thriving city lay in ruins, the ground scarred and broken. The Slarkovs were resilient, though. They gathered together to rebuild, their determination and spirit undiminished. They didn't give up, Gustav thought, admiration swelling in his chest. They faced unimaginable challenges, but they kept going. The scenes shifted to show more battles, each one leaving its mark on Humbad. The planet bore the scars of conflicts it had no part in, the residual energies from the deities' battles causing untold suffering. The Slarkovs, however, were determined to find a way to protect themselves. They couldn't rely on the deities to care about their lives, Gustav mused. They had to take matters into their own hands. The playback showed the Slarkovs, scientists, and engineers working tirelessly to develop a solution. Their technology was already advanced, but they needed something extraordinary to protect their people from the fallout of the Titanic battles. The holographic images shifted to a grand laboratory filled with intricate machinery and glowing consoles. Gustav watched as the Slarkovs devised protective protocols, creating a system that would shield their planet from the residual energies of the deities' battles. They were brilliant, Gustav thought, all filling his mind. They found a way to safeguard their world against forces that were beyond their control. The playback showed the implementation of the protective protocols. Massive towers were constructed, each one pulsing with energy. These towers created a barrier around the planet designed to absorb and neutralize the residual energies from the deities' battles. As the barrier came online, the holographic images showed another battle taking place outside their solar system. The deities clashed with the same devastating force, but this time, Humbad was prepared. The barrier absorbed the shockwaves, protecting the planet and its inhabitants. It worked, Gustav whispered, relief washing over him. They finally had a way to protect themselves. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs celebrating their victory. Families gathered together, children playing in the streets, and the city was filled with joy and relief. The protective protocols had given them a sense of security and peace that they had longed for. They deserved this, Gustav thought, a smile forming on his lips. After everything they went through, they finally had a way to live without fear. As he continued to watch, Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs. Their resilience, their determination, and their ingenuity were qualities he admired and aspired to embody. They faced challenges that seemed insurmountable. He mused, but they never gave up. They found a way to protect their world and their people. I must do the same. The playback continued to show the daily lives of the Slarkovs. With the protective protocols in place, they flourished. Their technology advanced even further, and they explored new frontiers, always seeking to expand their knowledge and understanding of the universe. Gustav watched as the Slarkovs traveled to distant worlds, forming alliances and sharing their technology with other civilizations. They were explorers, diplomats, and scholars driven by a thirst for knowledge and a desire to connect with others. They were extraordinary, Gustav thought, admiration swelling in his chest. Their legacy is one of resilience, ingenuity, and compassion. Chapter 1552, A Planetary Coup. Chapter 1552, A Planetary Coup, author's note. Unedited chapter, the holographic playback, continued to reveal the history of the Slarkovs, painting a vivid picture of their incredible journey. The protection protocols they had developed worked well, for centuries, shielding their planet from the devastating residual energies of the deities' battles. The Slarkovs thrived, their civilization reaching new heights of technological and cultural advancement. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the peaceful and prosperous lives of the Slarkovs. The The once constant threat of annihilation had been mitigated by their ingenuity, allowing them to focus on growth and exploration. They were safe, Gustav thought, feeling a sense of relief. Their brilliance had given them a chance to flourish, to live without fear. But then the scenes began to shift, showing a darker time in Humbad's history. A time when the peace they had worked so hard to achieve was shattered in an instant. The playback depicted a colossal battle between deities, closer than any before. The sheer force of their clash sent shockwaves through the cosmos, their energies colliding with a power that defied comprehension. Despite the protective protocols in place, the proximity of the battle overwhelmed the defenses. Gustav's heart sank as he saw the barriers falter and fail. The towers that had once stood as sentinels of safety now crumbled under the onslaught of residual energy. Buildings shattered, and the ground split open, fire and molten rock spewing forth from the wounds inflicted on the planet's surface. "Oh no," Gustav whispered, his voice filled with despair. The protective protocols weren't enough. They were overwhelmed. The holographic playback showed the chaos that ensued. The skies darkened with ash and smoke, and the air was filled with the screams of the dying and the roar of the planet's agony. Millions of Slarkovs lost their lives in the devastation. Their once vibrant city, now a landscape of ruin and despair. They fought so hard to protect themselves, Gustav thought, tears welling in his eyes. But it wasn't enough. They couldn't escape the wrath of the deities. In the midst of this cataclysmic event, the playback highlighted a moment that would change everything. As the deities clashed, a single drop of blood, golden in color, fell from one of the titans. This drop of blood was unlike any other, imbued with unimaginable power. SSS Gustav watched in awe as the golden drop descended through the atmosphere, glowing with an intense, radiant light. It struck the surface of Humbad with a force that defied belief, burrowing deep into the planet's crust. The ground trembled and shook as the blood continued to bore its way toward the core. "What is this?" Gustav wondered aloud, his eyes fixed on the scene. "This blood, it's doing something to the planet." The playback zoomed in, following the path of the golden blood as it journeyed deeper into Humbad. It finally reached the core, and there something extraordinary happened. The core began to shift and change, infused with the divine energy of the deity's blood. From this convergence of energies, Dimension 6 was formed. The playback showed the core transforming into a nexus of incredible power, a place where the boundaries of reality were fluid and the impossible became possible. Gustav's mind raced as he tried to comprehend what he was seeing. Dimension 6, it was born from the blood of a deity. That's why it's so powerful, so unique. The holographic images shifted again, showing the aftermath of the battle. The Slarkovs, resilient as ever, began to rebuild. They discovered Dimension 6 and realized the potential it held. They studied it, harnessed its power, and used it to aid in their recovery and advancement. "This is incredible," Gustav thought, his heart filled with awe and wonder. Dimension 6 became a source of strength for them, a beacon of hope in their darkest hour. The playback continued, showing the Slarkovs' exploration of Dimension 6. They built constructs to access and control its power, using it to heal their planet and enhance their technology. The golden energy of the deity's blood became a cornerstone of their civilization, a reminder of their resilience and ingenuity. They turned tragedy into triumph, Gustav realized, admiration swelling in his chest. They found a way to not only survive, but thrive. As the scenes played out, Gustav saw the Slarkovs harness the power of Dimension 6 to create new technologies, explore distant worlds, and expand their understanding of the universe. They forged alliances with other civilizations, sharing their knowledge and forming bonds of friendship and cooperation. They were truly extraordinary, Gustav thought. Their legacy is one of strength, resilience, and unity. The playback showed the Slarkovs continuing to flourish, their civilization reaching new heights. They used the power of Dimension 6 to protect themselves from future threats, ensuring that their world would never again face the devastation they had once endured. Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs, their story resonating with him on a profound level. Their struggles and triumphs must not be forgotten, he thought. I must use what I have learned here to protect my own world and ensure that their legacy lives on. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Planet Humbad and the Slarkovs had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. I understand now, he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. SSS Gustav stood transfixed as the construct continued to reveal the history of the Slarkovs. It was as if he were walking through the past, witnessing the events firsthand. The holographic playback allowed him to experience the wonders and tragedies of Planet Humbad, as if he were living it all in real time. The scene shifted to the moment when the golden drop of deity blood fell onto Humbad. The ground trembled as the divine energy burrowed deep into the planet, reaching its core and creating Dimension 6. But the transformation didn't stop there. The energy from the drop of blood spread across the entire planet, altering everything it touched. Gustav watched in awe as the golden energy flowed through the streets and into the bodies of the Slarkovs. Their DNA was being rewritten, their very essence transformed by the divine power. He saw the expressions of wonder and fear on their faces as they felt the changes within themselves. This energy, it's changing them, Gustav thought, his eyes wide with amazement. They're gaining new abilities, powers beyond their wildest dreams. The holographic playback showed the immediate aftermath of the transformation. The Slarkovs began to exhibit supernatural abilities. Some could manipulate the elements, conjuring fire, water, and lightning with a mere thought. Others could move objects with their minds, heal injuries with a touch, or even see glimpses of the future. "This is incredible," Gustav whispered, watching a Slarkov woman create a swirling vortex of water with a wave of her hand. "They've become something more than they were, something extraordinary." The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs exploring their newfound powers. Children played in the streets, creating sparks of light and miniature whirlwinds. Scholars and scientists studied their abilities, seeking to understand the extent of their transformation. There was a sense of wonder and excitement, a feeling that they had been given a gift. Gustav walked through the holographic city, feeling as if he were truly there. He watched as a group of Slarkov men practiced their abilities, lifting massive boulders with their minds and creating barriers of pure energy. The air hummed with the power they wielded, a tangible force that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. These abilities, Gustav thought, they're amazing. The Slarkovs have been given a chance to reach new heights, to achieve things they never thought possible. But as time passed, the playback began to show the darker side of their transformation. The initial excitement gave way to fear and tension as the Slarkovs struggled to control their new powers. Conflicts arose, fueled by jealousy and ambition. Accidents happened, and lives were lost in the chaos. The holographic images showed a marketplace in ruins, the result of a battle between two Slarkovs who had let their powers spiral out of control. Buildings were reduced to rubble, and fires raged, casting an eerie glow over the scene. "This is terrible," Gustav thought, his heart heavy with sorrow. "Their powers are tearing them apart. What was meant to be a gift has become a curse." SSS, he saw the expressions of fear and desperation on the faces of the survivors. The once thriving city was now marred by destruction and division. The Slarkovs, who had once been united in their pursuit of knowledge and progress, were now divided by the very powers that had set them apart. The playback shifted to show the Slarkov leaders gathering in a grand hall, their faces etched with worry. Gustav could almost hear their voices, filled with tension and concern, as they debated how to address the growing crisis. "We cannot continue like this," one of the leaders said, her voice trembling. "Our powers were meant to elevate us, but they are tearing us apart. We must find a way to control them." Another leader added, his expression grim. "If we do not, our civilization will be destroyed from within." Gustav felt a pang of empathy for the Slarkovs. They had been given a gift that was beyond their understanding, and now they were grappling with the consequences. They need guidance, he thought. They need to find a way to harness their powers without losing themselves. The holographic images showed the Slarkovs working tirelessly to find a solution. They developed new technologies and techniques to help control their abilities, creating training centers and academies where individuals could learn to master their powers. But the road was fraught with challenges, and progress was slow. Gustav watched as a young Slarkov boy struggled to control his ability to manipulate fire. Flames danced around him, threatening to engulf everything in their path. A mentor stood nearby, guiding him with calm, steady instructions. "Focus, Jorn," the mentor said. "Feel the fire within you, but do not let it consume you. You must learn to control it, to direct it with intention." The boy's expression was one of intense concentration. Slowly, the flames began to subside, coalescing into a small, controlled ball of fire in his hand. The mentor smiled, pride and relief evident in his eyes. "Well done, Jorn," he said. "You are learning. With time and practice, you will master your abilities." Gustav felt a glimmer of hope as he watched the scene. They can do it, he thought. They can learn to control their powers and use them for good. They just need time and guidance. The playback continued to show the efforts of the Slarkovs to regain control of their society. They established laws and regulations to govern the use of their abilities, creating a framework that would allow them to live in harmony. but the scars of their initial struggles remained, a reminder of the price they had paid for their transformation. Chapter 1553 Things Fall Apart. Chapter 1553 Things Fall Apart. Author's note. Unedited chapter. As Gustav walked through the holographic city, he felt a deep sense of connection to the Slarkovs. He didn't know why yet, but he believed everything will be unveiled soon. The scenes shifted again, showing the Slarkovs using their abilities to rebuild their world. They harnessed their powers to heal the wounded, to construct new buildings, and to explore new frontiers. The golden energy of the deity's blood had given them the tools to achieve greatness, but it had also tested their limits. Gustav watched as a group of Slarkov scientists worked on a project to stabilize the planet's core, using their abilities to manipulate the energy of Dimension 6. The room hummed with power as they directed their focus, channeling their collective strength to achieve their goal. Together, there is nothing we can't do, one of the scientists said, his voice filled with conviction. We have the power to shape our destiny, to protect our world, and ensure a brighter future. But what went wrong? Gustav wondered. SSS, the Construct's playback, continued to unravel the complex history of the Slarkovs, showing Gustav the rise and fall of their civilization. Dimension 6, formed from the divine energy of the deity's blood, had become a place of limitless possibilities. Within its boundaries, one could manipulate reality, harness incredible power, and achieve feats that defied imagination. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the Slarkovs discovering the potential of Dimension 6. They used it to heal their wounded, rebuild their cities, and create wonders beyond their wildest dreams. The initial period was one of prosperity and awe, as the Slarkovs reveled in the possibilities that the dimension offered. This place, Gustav thought, it must have seemed like a miracle, a gift that could solve all their problems. But as time passed, the allure of unlimited power began to corrupt. The playback depicted Slarkovs asking the dimension for increasingly selfish and extravagant things. They sought power beyond imagination, wealth without limit, and control over others. The purity of their intentions eroded, replaced by greed and ambition. Gustav watched with a heavy heart as the scenes showed the growing divide among the Slarkovs. Those who had gained immense power from Dimension 6 began to wield it over others, creating a hierarchy of haves and have-nots. Resentment and jealousy festered, and the once unified civilization began to fracture. Their own creation, Gustav mused, is tearing them apart. The very thing that was supposed to elevate them is now their undoing. The tension reached a breaking point, and the playback showed the outbreak of violence. An uprising occurred as factions of Slarkovs began to fight for control over Dimension 6. The streets of Humbad were filled with chaos and bloodshed, the air thick with the acrid smell of destruction. In one particularly harrowing scene, Gustav watched as two opposing factions clashed in the heart of the city. Energy beams and elemental forces flew through the air, causing buildings to crumble and the ground to shake. The once beautiful cityscape was now a war zone. "We must control Dimension 6, one Slarkov leader shouted, his voice echoing through the chaos. "It's the only way to bring order to this madness." Another leader, standing opposite him, retorted, "No one should have that much power. We must destroy it before it destroys us all." The battle raged on, the city being torn apart by the conflict. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he watched the destruction. "They've lost sight of what truly matters," he thought. "Their quest for power has blinded them to the consequences." The playback shifted to show the aftermath of the battle. The victorious faction had taken control of Dimension 6, and with it, the fate of the planet. They established strict control over access to the dimension, enslaving those who opposed them and using their newfound power to dominate the rest of the population. The once proud Slarkovs were now divided into rulers and the oppressed, their society fractured beyond repair. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed scenes of slavery and subjugation. The rulers used the power of Dimension 6 to enforce their will, creating a dystopian nightmare for those who had once been their equals. "This is horrible," Gustav whispered, his heart aching for the Slarkovs. "They've turned on each other, and their civilization is crumbling from within." He saw images of families torn apart, children separated from their parents, and individuals forced to work in harsh conditions. The once thriving culture of the Slarkovs was now a shadow of its former self, consumed by greed and tyranny. One scene showed a young Slarkov girl, her eyes filled with fear and determination, speaking to an older man. "We can't live like this anymore," she said, her voice trembling. "We have to fight back." The man, weary and broken, shook his head. "What can we do? They control Dimension 6. They have all the power." "But we have to try," the girl insisted. "We can't let them destroy everything we stand for." Gustav felt a pang of empathy for the girl. "She's right," he thought. "They can't give up. They have to find a way to reclaim their world." The playback continued to show the struggles of the oppressed Slarkovs. Small groups formed resistance movements, attempting to sabotage the rulers and regain control of Dimension 6. The battles were fierce, and the cost was high, but the spirit of the Slarkovs refused to be completely crushed. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of rebels infiltrated a heavily guarded facility where the rulers controlled access to Dimension 6. The tension was palpable as they moved through the shadows, avoiding detection and disabling security systems. "We have to disable the control node," one of the rebels whispered. "It's the only way to disrupt their hold on the dimension." The leader of the group nodded, determination in his eyes. "Let's do this for our people. For our future." Gustav's heart pounded as he watched the rebels move with precision and bravery. They reached the control node and began to dismantle it. But just as they were about to succeed, an alarm sounded. Guards rushed in, and a fierce battle ensued. The holographic playback showed the rebels fighting valiantly, but the odds were against them. One by one, they fell, their sacrifice a testament to their courage and determination. The scene ended with the control node intact, and the surviving rebels captured or killed. Gustav felt a deep sense of loss. They fought so hard, he thought, but the cost was too high. Their struggle continues, but their hope remains. The playback shifted to show the rulers tightening their grip on Dimension 6, using its power to crush any remaining resistance. The city of Humbad, once a beacon of progress and unity, was now a place of fear and oppression. Gustav walked through the holographic streets, feeling the weight of the Slarkovs' suffering. He saw the haunted faces of the oppressed, their eyes filled with despair and longing for a better future. The rulers' arrogance and cruelty were evident in every corner of the city. How did it come to this? Gustav thought, his heart heavy with sorrow. Their quest for power has led them to ruin. They lost everything they once held dear. As the playback continued, Gustav saw glimpses of hope amidst the darkness. Small acts of kindness and solidarity, moments of resistance and defiance, kept the spirit of the Slarkovs alive. The oppressed refused to be completely broken, and their resilience shone through the bleakness. One scene showed a young Slarkov boy sneaking food to a group of rebels hiding in the ruins of a building. His eyes were filled with determination and hope. "We won't give up," he said to the leader of the rebels. "Well, keep fighting." The leader, touched by the boy's courage, nodded. "Thank you. Your bravery gives us strength." Gustav felt a glimmer of hope. Even in the darkest times, he thought, there is still light. The spirit of the Slarkovs will never be extinguished. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. I understand now, he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. Chapter 1554, Rewriting Reality. Chapter 1554, Rewriting Reality, author's note. Unedited chapter, the holographic playback, showed the turmoil that had engulfed planet Humbad, with the conflict and instability continuing for a long time. The once proud civilization of the Slarkovs was now a battleground, with various factions vying for control over Dimension 6. The planet's surface was scarred by the battles, and the air was thick with the scent of smoke and ash. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he walked through the holographic city, witnessing the devastation firsthand. They were so close to achieving greatness, he thought, but their greed and ambition tore them apart. The playback focused on a particular Slarkov, a figure who seemed to move with purpose and determination through the chaos. His name was From Bolton, a brilliant scientist and a visionary who had watched his world descend into madness. From Bolton believed that the only way to save his people was to fundamentally change the nature of Dimension 6. Gustav watched as From Bolton snuck into a heavily guarded facility, using his knowledge of technology and subterfuge to bypass security measures. He's taking a great risk, Gustav thought, his heart pounding with anticipation. But he knows that this is the only way to bring about change. From Bolton finally reached the entrance to Dimension 6. The holographic playback showed him standing before the portal, a mix of fear and determination on his face. This is it, he whispered to himself. If I can give the dimension sentience, maybe it will be able to put an end to this chaos. He stepped through the portal, entering the heart of Dimension 6. The space around him was a swirling vortex of energy and light, a place where the boundaries of reality were fluid and malleable. From Bolton took a deep breath and began to work, using his knowledge and the tools he had brought with him to interact with the dimension's core. Gustav watched in awe as from Bolton's hands moved with precision and expertise, manipulating the energy of Dimension 6. He's trying to give it consciousness, Gustav realized. He's making it capable of understanding and enforcing rules. Hours turned into days as from Bolton continued his work, his body and mind pushed to their limits. Finally, with a final adjustment, he stepped back and watched as the energy of the dimension coalesced into a singular form, a glowing entity that pulsed with awareness. The entity spoke, its voice resonating with the power of the dimension. "I am Dimension 6, it said. "I have gained sentience." From Bolton fell to his knees, exhausted but relieved. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling. "You must help us. The greed of my people has torn our world apart. We need rules, guidance." The entity seemed to consider his words, its form shifting and flickering. "I understand," it replied. "From now on there will be a rule. Do not be greedy. Seek only that which you need, not that which you want. Those who are greedy will face punishment." From Bolton nodded, tears streaming down his face. "And the abilities," he said, "the supernatural powers that have caused so much destruction, we must find a way to control them." SSS, the entity's glow intensified, and it seemed to reach out, touching the very fabric of the Slarkov's DNA. "I will lock the DNA that grants these abilities," it said. "Those who have abused their power will lose it. Only those who seek to use it responsibly will retain their abilities." Gustav felt a surge of hope as he watched the scene. From Bolton has done it, he thought. He's given Dimension 6 the power to enforce order and limit the chaos. The playback shifted to show the immediate aftermath of From Bolton's actions. The forces that had taken over and abused their powers suddenly found themselves powerless. Their supernatural abilities vanished, leaving them vulnerable and confused. A battle for control erupted as those who had been oppressed saw their chance to rise up. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed fierce fighting, but this time the tide had turned. The rulers who had relied on their abilities to maintain control were now at a disadvantage, and the oppressed seized the opportunity to reclaim their freedom. In the heart of the city, From Bolton stood before a gathering of Slarkovs, his voice filled with conviction. "We have been given a second chance," he said. "Dimension 6 will no longer be a tool for greed and destruction. We must use it wisely to rebuild our world and ensure that such chaos never happens again." The crowd listened, their faces reflecting a mix of hope and determination. One Slarkov stepped forward, his expression resolute. "We will follow your lead, From Bolton. Together, we can create a better future for all of us." Gustav felt a sense of pride as he watched the Slarkovs unite. "They've learned from their mistakes," he thought. "They know now that power must be used responsibly." The playback showed the Slarkovs working together to rebuild their society. They used the power of Dimension 6, now guided by its sentient entity, to heal the wounds of their planet and restore order. The golden energy that had once caused so much strife was now a force for good, a symbol of their resilience and unity. As he continued to watch, Gustav saw scenes of cooperation and progress. The Slarkovs established new laws and governance, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. The rule of not being greedy was enforced by Dimension 6, and those who sought to abuse their power were swiftly dealt with. One scene showed From Bolton speaking to a group of young Slarkovs, his voice filled with wisdom and hope. "Remember this," he said. "Power is a tool, not a right. Use it to help others, to build and create, not to destroy. We have been given a gift, but with it comes great responsibility." The children listened, their eyes wide with understanding. "We will remember," one of them said. "We will honor the legacy of Dimension 6. Gustav felt a deep sense of connection to the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of redemption and growth, he thought. They faced unimaginable challenges, but they found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. I understand now, he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. I will honor your memory, Gustav vowed silently. I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain. With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. You believed in me, he thought, and I will not let you down. Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten, he vowed. I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the dark plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. SS The Construct continued to show the unfolding history of the Slarkovs, revealing how the tides had turned in favor of From Bolton and his followers. Gustav watched as From Bolton's forces, armed with determination and the newly established rules of Dimension 6, slowly gained the upper hand in the battle for control. From Bolton's strategic brilliance and his deep understanding of Dimension 6 played a crucial role in their victories. Gustav saw scenes of fierce battles, with From Bolton leading his forces with courage and conviction. His ability to inspire and unite the oppressed Slarkovs became a beacon of hope for many. As the dust settled, it became clear that From Bolton's forces had emerged victorious. The oppressive rulers who had abused their power were overthrown, and a new era began. The playback showed From Bolton standing before a massive assembly of Slarkovs, their faces filled with hope and anticipation. Today marks a new beginning for us all, From Bolton declared, his voice resonating through the crowd. We have reclaimed our world from the grip of tyranny. We will build a society where freedom and fairness are paramount, where every Slarkov has the opportunity to thrive. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with joy and relief. Gustav felt a surge of pride as he watched the scene. From Bolton has given them hope, he thought. He has shown them that they can rise above their challenges and create a better future. From Bolton continued. Dimension 6 is a place of incredible potential, but it is not a place for greed and selfish desires. It has gained sentience and established rules that we must all follow. These rules are clear. Do not be greedy. Seek only what you need, not what you want. If we abide by these principles, we can use Dimension 6 to rebuild and flourish. The assembly nodded in agreement, understanding the importance of these rules. From Bolton's leadership had brought them through their darkest times, and they were ready to follow his guidance. SSS in the weeks and months that followed, Humbad began to flourish once again. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs working together to rebuild their cities, using their advanced technology to heal the wounds of their planet. The golden energy of Dimension 6 was now a force for good, helping them create new technologies and infrastructures. Gustav watched as the holographic images depicted bustling streets filled with life and activity. The buildings once ruined by conflict were now restored to their former glory, their sleek lines and elegant designs a testament to the Slarkovs' ingenuity. "We have been given a second chance," From Bolton said to a group of young Slarkovs. "Our DNA is now locked, and we have returned to being a purely technological society. This is our opportunity to focus on progress and unity, to create a future that honors the sacrifices of those who came before us." One of the young Slarkovs, a girl with bright eyes and a curious mind, asked, "Chief From Bolton, what can we do to ensure that we never fall into chaos again?" From Bolton smiled warmly at her. "We must remember the lessons of our past," he replied. "We must use our technology wisely and ensure that power is never concentrated in the hands of a few. We must work together, support each other, and always prioritize the greater good." The girl nodded, inspired by his words. "I will do my best to help," she said earnestly. "I want to be a part of this new future." Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for From Bolton. He understands the importance of unity and responsibility, he thought. He is leading them toward a brighter future. The scenes continued to show the progress of the Slarkovs. They developed new technologies that harness the power of Dimension 6 while adhering to its rules. The golden energy was used to create sustainable energy sources, advanced medical treatments, and innovative solutions to environmental challenges. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of scientists worked on a project to purify the planet's water supply. They used the energy from Dimension 6 to create a device that could cleanse pollutants and restore the natural balance of their ecosystems. "This will revolutionize our planet," one of the scientists said, her voice filled with excitement. "We can ensure that every Slarkov has access to clean, safe water." From Bolton, who was visiting the lab, nodded in approval. "This is exactly the kind of innovation we need," he said. "By working together and using our resources wisely, we can create a future where every Slarkov can thrive." Gustav felt a sense of hope and optimism as he watched the Slarkovs' progress. They have learned from their past, he thought. They are building a society based on fairness, cooperation, and responsibility. The playback shifted to show scenes of daily life on Humbad. Families gathered in parks, children played in the streets, and communities came together to celebrate their achievements. The air was filled with a sense of joy and unity, a stark contrast to the chaos and conflict that had once plagued their world. One evening, From Bolton stood before a gathering of Slarkovs in a newly built amphitheater. The sky above was filled with stars, and the air was filled with anticipation. "We have come a long way," From Bolton began, his voice carrying through the crowd. "We have faced incredible challenges and endured great hardships. But through it all, we have remained resilient and determined. We have rebuilt our world and created a society that honors the values of freedom and fairness. We have come a long way," From Bolton began, his voice carrying through the crowd. "We have faced incredible challenges and endured great hardships. But through it all, we have remained resilient and determined. We have rebuilt our world and created a society that honors the values of freedom and fairness." The crowd listened intently, their faces reflecting the pride and hope that From Bolton's words inspired. "Dimension 6 is a part of our legacy," he continued. It is a reminder of the power we hold and the responsibility that comes with it. Let us use this power wisely to create a future that is bright and filled with possibilities. A young boy in the front row raised his hand, his eyes shining with curiosity. Chief from Bolton, what do you see for our future? Chapter 1555, A Deity's Promise. Chapter 1555, A Deity's Promise, author's note. Unedited chapter from Bolton smiled, his gaze filled with warmth and wisdom. I see a future where we continue to innovate and explore, where we use our technology to solve problems and improve lives. I see a future where every Slarkov has the opportunity to reach their full potential. And most importantly, I see a future where we remain united, working together for the greater good. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Centuries passed, and the legacy of From Bolton was carefully maintained. Each new chief, chosen from his lineage, ruled with the same principles of fairness and unity that From Bolton had instilled. The Slarkovs flourished under this steady leadership, their society becoming a beacon of technological advancement and harmony. Gustav watched as the holographic playback showed the peaceful progression of time on Humbad. The cityscapes evolved, with towering structures of sleek design and sprawling green spaces that reflected their commitment to sustainability. The golden energy of Dimension 6 continued to power their innovations, and the Slarkovs lived in a state of balance and prosperity. From Bolton's vision has truly come to life, Gustav thought, admiring the scenes of progress and cooperation. They've built a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. The playback shifted to a grand ceremony, where From Bolton the 45th was being inaugurated as the new chief. The amphitheater was filled with Slarkovs, their faces reflecting pride and hope. From Bolton the 45th, a tall and wise-looking figure, stood before them, his expression one of solemn responsibility. As I take on the mantle of chief, From Bolton the 45th began, his voice resonating through the amphitheater. I vow to uphold the principles that have guided our people for centuries. We will continue to use our technology wisely to support one another and to honor the legacy of our ancestors. The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and support. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for From Bolton the 45th. He carries the weight of his lineage with grace and dedication. He thought, he is the embodiment of their values. However, as the celebration continued, a shadow loomed on the horizon. The playback showed the skies darkening, an ominous sign of the impending tragedy. Another battle between deities had erupted, and this time, the consequences would be far more devastating. Gustav watched in horror as the playback depicted the colossal battle in space. The deities clashed with unimaginable force, their energies creating shockwaves that rippled through the cosmos. The very fabric of reality seemed to tremble under the weight of their conflict. Not again, Gustav thought, his heart sinking. The Slarkovs have already endured so much. How much more can they take? The battle reached a catastrophic climax when one of the deities was struck down. The defeated deity's corpse, massive beyond comprehension, began to drift through space. The playback highlighted the sheer scale of the body, which was as massive as the combination of 30 planets. As the deity's corpse floated toward Humbad's solar system, the sun was blotted out, casting the planet into darkness. The holographic images showed the Slarkovs looking up at the sky in terror and disbelief, their world plunged into an eerie twilight. From Bolton, the 45th addressed his people in the aftermath of the catastrophe. He stood on a platform, his face illuminated by the faint, golden glow of Dimension 6. My fellow Slarkovs, he said, his voice steady but filled with sorrow, we face a challenge unlike any we have encountered before. The corpse of a deity has cast a shadow over our world, and we must come together to find a way through this darkness. The crowd listened in silence, their faces reflecting their fear and uncertainty. One of the elders stepped forward, her expression grim. "Chief from Bolton, what can we do? Our crops are failing, and our energy reserves are depleting without the sun. How will we survive?" From Bolton, the 45th nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. "We will use the power of Dimension 6 to sustain us," he replied. "We have faced great challenges before, and we have always found a way to overcome them. We must remain united and work together to find solutions." Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the Slarkovs mobilizing to address the crisis. They used the golden energy of Dimension 6 to create artificial light sources, attempting to replicate the sun's rays to keep their crops alive. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to develop new technologies that could sustain them in the prolonged darkness. In one scene, Gustav saw a group of scientists gathered around a large device that emitted a powerful golden light. "This should help keep the crops growing," one of the scientists said, adjusting the settings. "It's not a perfect solution, but it will buy us some time." From Bolton, the 45th visited the laboratories, offering his support and encouragement. "Your work is vital to our survival," he told the scientists. "We must use every resource at our disposal to ensure that our people have what they need to endure this crisis." Despite their efforts, the prolonged darkness began to take its toll. The playback showed scenes of hardship and struggle, with the Slarkovs facing food shortages and energy crises. The once thriving society was now grappling with the harsh reality of their situation. Gustav felt a deep sense of empathy for the Slarkovs. "They've worked so hard to build a fair and prosperous society," he thought. "Now, they're facing a challenge that could undo everything they've achieved." In the midst of the crisis, from Bolton, the 45th continued to lead with unwavering resolve. He held regular meetings with the community, addressing their concerns and providing updates on their progress. "We will get through this," he assured them. "We have the strength and the ingenuity to overcome any obstacle." One evening, from Bolton, the 45th stood before the assembly, his face illuminated by the soft glow of Dimension 6. "I know that these are difficult times," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their collective struggle. "But we must remember who we are. We are the descendants of From Bolton, a people who have faced adversity and emerged stronger. We will do so again." As the assembly listened, their expressions a mix of hope and determination. Gustav felt a surge of admiration for From Bolton, the 45th. "He is a true leader," he thought. "He understands the importance of unity and resilience." As the months passed, the Slarkovs continued to adapt to their new reality. They developed new agricultural techniques to maximize their crop yields and discovered innovative ways to conserve energy. The playback showed scenes of cooperation and ingenuity, with the Slarkovs working together to ensure their survival. In one particularly inspiring scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted seeds in a greenhouse illuminated by the golden light of Dimension 6. "We can do this," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil. "We just need to keep trying." From Bolton, the 45th visited the greenhouse, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our survival," he told them. "You are the future of our world, and your resilience gives us all hope." Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs and their struggle. "Their determination and ingenuity are truly remarkable," he thought. "They've faced so many challenges, but they never give up." The playback continued to show the gradual recovery of the planet. As the months went by, the deity's corpse slowly drifted away from their solar system, and the sun's light began to return. The scenes shifted to show the Slarkovs celebrating the return of the light, their faces filled with joy and relief. From Bolton, The 45th addressed his people once more, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "We have endured a great darkness," he said, "but we have emerged stronger and more united than ever. Let us remember this time, and let it remind us of our resilience and our capacity for greatness." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of resilience and unity, he thought. They've faced unimaginable challenges, but they have always found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the dark plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the dark plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of SS the holographic playback continued, depicting the grim reality the Slarkovs faced after the death of the deity and the resultant eclipse of their sun. The initial challenge of surviving in darkness was compounded by a new and insidious threat, the ashy sand-like pollution emitted from the deity's corpse. This pollution began to spread through space, turning into a malevolent force that swallowed up orbital bodies, including moons and satellites. Gustav watched as the holographic images showed the spread of this pollution. It moved with a sinister, creeping inevitability, engulfing everything in its path. The Slarkovs, already struggling with the loss of sunlight, now faced an even greater existential threat. "We must protect ourselves," from Bolton, the 45th declared, his voice resolute as he addressed the council. "This pollution is unlike anything we've encountered before. We need to act quickly to safeguard our planet." The council members nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting their concern. One of the scientists, a middle-aged Slarkov with silver hair, spoke up. "We have developed barriers using the energy from Dimension 6, she said. "These barriers should be able to hold off the pollution and give us time to find a more permanent solution." From Bolton, the 45th looked at the council members, determination in his eyes. "Let's implement these barriers immediately." Every second counts. The playback shifted to show the Slarkovs working tirelessly to erect the barriers. Massive towers were constructed around the planet, each one pulsating with the golden energy of Dimension 6. The barriers shimmered with an ethereal light, forming a protective shield around Humbad. Gustav felt a sense of hope as he watched the Slarkovs' efforts. "They're doing everything they can to protect their world," he thought. "They won't give up without a fight." As the barriers were activated, the ashy sand-like pollution met with resistance. The barriers held strong, repelling the malevolent force and preventing it from reaching the planet's surface. The Slarkovs breathed a collective sigh of relief, their efforts seemingly paying off. Chapter 1556, Uncivilized World. Chapter 1556, Uncivilized World. Author's Note. Unedited chapter. A member of Kaldor's faction, a fiery young Slarkov named Jael, stepped forward. We cannot abandon our heritage. Humbad is our home. We must fight to protect it, not run away. Ellen, standing by from Bolton's side, spoke up. Our heritage is not tied to a place. It is within us, in our unity and resilience. We must survive to preserve our heritage. Leaving does not mean forgetting who we are. The debate raged on, with both sides presenting their arguments. Gustav felt the tension and urgency in the room. Their future hangs in the balance, he thought. They must find a way to unite, or all will be lost. From Bolton knew that time was running out. He called for a vote among the representatives, hoping to reach a decision that would guide their next steps. In the end, the majority sided with From Bolton. The decision to evacuate was made, and preparations began immediately. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to develop the technology needed for the evacuation. Spaceships were constructed, and plans were made to transport the population to a new world. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of engineers and scientists worked together in a high-tech lab, their faces filled with determination. We need to ensure that the ships are ready for launch, one of them said, adjusting a control panel. Our survival depends on it. From Bolton visited the lab, offering his support and encouragement. Your efforts are crucial to our survival, he told them. We must do everything in our power to ensure a successful evacuation. Together, we will find a way. As the days turned into weeks, the preparations continued at a frantic pace. The atmosphere on Humbad was a mix of urgency and sorrow, as the Slarkovs prepared to leave the only home they had ever known. In one poignant scene, Gustav watched as a family packed their belongings, their faces filled with a mix of sadness and determination. We will carry the spirit of Humbad with us, the mother said, her voice filled with resolve. Our heritage lives on within us. The playback showed scenes of the final days on Humbad. The cities, once bustling with activity, were now filled with the sounds of evacuation. Families boarded the spaceships, their hearts heavy with the weight of leaving their home behind. SS from Bolton, the 45th, addressed the people of Humbad, his voice filled with reassurance. The barriers are holding, and we are safe for now. But we must remain vigilant and continue to seek a permanent solution to this threat. The playback showed the Slarkovs returning to their daily lives, their spirits lifted by the temporary reprieve. However, the shadow of the pollution still loomed large, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. Months turned into years, and the barriers continued to hold. The Slarkovs used this time to develop new technologies and strategies to combat the pollution. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, searching for a way to neutralize the threat permanently. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of scientists gathered in a high-tech laboratory, their faces etched with determination. We've made some progress, one of them said, pointing to a holographic display. We've developed a prototype device that might be able to disperse the pollution. From Bolton, the 45th, who was present in the lab, listened intently. Excellent work, he said. How soon can we test it? The scientist hesitated. We're still in the early stages of testing. We need more time to ensure it's safe and effective. From Bolton, the 45th nodded. Understood. Keep me updated on your progress. The safety of our people depends on it. Despite their best efforts, the situation took a turn for the worse. The playback showed the barriers beginning to falter, the relentless pressure of the pollution wearing them down. Cracks appeared in the shimmering shield, and the malevolent force began to seep through. Gustav's heart sank as he watched the scene. They fought so hard, he thought, but the pollution is too powerful. The barriers finally gave way, and the pollution descended upon Humbad. The skies darkened with the ashy sand-like substance, and the air became thick and suffocating. The once thriving planet was now shrouded in a toxic haze. From Bolton, the 45th addressed his people, his voice filled with urgency. We must evacuate to the underground shelters immediately. The pollution has breached our barriers, and it is not safe to remain above ground. The holographic images showed the Slarkovs moving quickly, gathering their belongings and heading to the shelters. Families huddled together, their faces reflecting their fear and uncertainty. The shelters, though safe, were cramped and dark, a stark contrast to the vibrant world they had known. Gustav felt a deep sense of sorrow as he watched the Slarkovs' plight. They've done everything they can, he thought. But this pollution is unlike anything they've ever faced. In one scene, Gustav saw from Bolton the 45th in a dimly lit command center surrounded by his advisors. We need to find a way to neutralize this pollution, he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Our people cannot survive like this for long. One of the advisors, a tall Slarkov with piercing blue eyes, spoke up. We've been working on a new prototype that might be able to disperse the pollution, he said, but we need more time to refine it. From Bolton, the 45th nodded. Do whatever it takes. Our survival depends on it. The playback showed the scientists and engineers working tirelessly in the underground laboratories. The air was filled with the hum of machinery and the quiet murmur of intense discussions. They tested prototype after prototype, each failure bringing them closer to a solution. We're close, one of the scientists said, adjusting a device. Just a few more adjustments, and we might have something that works. From Bolton, the 45th visited the lab, his presence a source of encouragement for the weary scientists. Your efforts are vital to our survival, he told them. We must remain focused and determined. Our people are counting on us. Despite their progress, the situation above ground continued to deteriorate. The playback showed the ashy sand-like pollution spreading across the planet, consuming everything in its path. The once vibrant landscapes were now bleak and lifeless, the air filled with a choking haze. In one particularly haunting scene, Gustav watched as a group of Slarkovs ventured above ground to gather supplies. They moved cautiously through the desolate streets, their faces covered with protective masks. The pollution swirled around them, a malevolent presence that seemed to seep into everything. We need to move quickly, one of them said, his voice muffled by the mask. The pollution is getting worse. As they gathered supplies, a sudden gust of wind sent a cloud of the ashy substance swirling toward them. They scrambled to find cover, their movements frantic and desperate. Gustav's heart raced as he watched, hoping they would make it to safety. We can't stay out here much longer, one of them said, his voice filled with urgency. We need to get back to the shelter. The scene shifted to show the Slarkovs returning to the underground shelters, their faces reflecting their exhaustion and fear. Gustav felt a deep sense of empathy for them. They've endured so much, he thought. Their resilience is truly remarkable. Back in the command center, from Bolton, the 45th addressed his advisors. We need to accelerate our efforts, he said. The pollution is spreading faster than we anticipated. We must find a solution before it's too late. The scientists and engineers redoubled their efforts, working around the clock to develop a device that could disperse the pollution. The air in the lab was thick with tension, the weight of their task pressing heavily on their shoulders. We're almost there, one of the lead scientists said, adjusting the settings on a prototype device. Just a few more tweaks, and we should be ready for a test run. From Bolton, the 45th nodded, his expression filled with determination. Make it happen, he said. Our people's lives depend on it. The playback showed the scientists conducting a series of tests, each one bringing them closer to success. Finally, after countless hours of work, they had a breakthrough. The device, a sleek and powerful creation, emitted a golden light that seemed to push back the pollution. "We've done it," the lead scientist said, his voice filled with relief. "The device works. We can start dispersing the pollution." From Bolton, the 45th addressed his people once more, his voice filled with hope. "We have developed a device that can disperse the pollution," he said. "We will begin deploying it immediately. Stay strong, my fellow Slarkovs. We will get through this together." The playback showed the deployment of the devices across the planet. The golden light emitted from each device began to push back the ashy sand-like pollution, slowly but surely restoring the air to its natural state. The skies, once darkened by the malevolent force, began to clear. Gustav felt a surge of hope as he watched the scenes of recovery. "They've done it," he thought. "They've found a way to overcome the pollution." The Slarkovs emerged from their underground shelters, their faces filled with relief and joy. The playback showed scenes of celebration as the pollution was dispersed and the planet began to heal. Families reunited, children played in the streets, and the once desolate landscapes were now vibrant with life. From Bolton, the 45th addressed his people, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "We have faced a great challenge and emerged stronger," he said. "Let us remember this time and use it as a reminder of our resilience and our capacity for greatness." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled. The holographic playback showed the relentless assault of the ashy sand-like pollution against the barriers. The Slarkovs watched in despair as their protective shield began to weaken and crack, the malevolent force pressing ever closer to their planet. Despite their best efforts, it seemed that all hope was lost. From Bolton, the 45th stood in the command center, his face etched with worry. "We've done everything we can," he said to his advisors. "The barriers won't hold much longer. We need a miracle." Just as the situation seemed dire, a bright light appeared in the sky, cutting through the darkness. The playback showed a figure descending from the heavens, his form glowing with an otherworldly radiance. As he landed on the surface of Humbad, the light around him dimmed to reveal a deity who had taken on a human form. The Slarkovs watched in awe as the deity walked among them, his presence exuding a calm and reassuring power. He raised his hand, and the ashy sand-like pollution that had been attacking the barrier began to gather into a swirling mass above his head. "Who are you?" From Bolton, the 45th asked, his voice filled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. The deity looked at him with kind, ancient eyes. "I am a guardian of balance, sent to rectify the harm caused by the battles of my kin," he said. "I apologize for the destruction and chaos that has befallen your world." Gustav watched in amazement as the deity continued to gather the pollution, forming it into a compact, pulsating ball of dark energy. The malevolent force that had been swallowing up orbital bodies was now contained, its threat neutralized. The deity then raised his other hand, and the skies began to clear. The remains of the fallen deity and the pollution that had darkened their world dissipated, revealing the sun once more. Light flooded the planet, and the Slarkovs cheered, their voices filled with relief and joy. "Thank you," from Bolton, the 45th said, bowing deeply. "You have saved us. But please, can you ensure that such battles do not threaten our existence again? Our planet has nearly perished." The deity nodded solemnly. "I will do everything in my power to prevent such chaos from befalling your world again," he said. "The deities must learn the consequences of their actions. Balance must be maintained." From Bolton, the 45th looked at the deity with gratitude and desperation. "Please, we beg you, ensure that Humbad remains safe. We cannot endure such destruction again." The deity placed a reassuring hand on Frombolton's shoulder. "You have my word," he said. "I will see to it that your planet is protected." With that, the deity vanished, taking the ball of ashy sand-like matter with him. The playback showed the deity reappearing on Earth, a barren and lifeless planet at that time. He buried the ball deep within the Earth, ensuring that it would no longer pose a threat. Gustav felt a profound sense of relief and hope as he watched the scenes unfold. They've been saved, he thought. The deity's intervention has given them a chance to rebuild and thrive once more. Back on Humbad, the Slarkovs emerged from their shelters, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. The golden light of Dimension 6 illuminated their world, casting a warm glow over the once darkened landscape. The air was clear, and the sky was a brilliant blue. Frombolton, the 45th, addressed his people, his voice filled with emotion. "We have been given a second chance," he said. "Thanks to the intervention of the guardian deity, our world is safe. Let us honor this gift by continuing to build a society based on fairness, unity, and responsibility." The crowd erupted in applause, their voices filled with enthusiasm and hope. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for Frombolton, the 45th, and the Slarkovs. Their resilience and determination have brought them through the darkest times, he thought. They have truly earned this second chance. The playback showed the Slarkovs returning to their daily lives, their spirits lifted by the promise of a brighter future. They worked together to rebuild their cities, using their advanced technology and the golden energy of Dimension 6 to create a world that reflected their values and aspirations. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted new trees in a park, their faces filled with hope and determination. "We will make our world beautiful again," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil around a sapling. "We will honor the gift we have been given." Frombolton, the 45th, visited the park, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our future," he told them. "You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." Chapter 1557 Guidance. Chapter 1557 Guidance Author's Note. Unedited chapter. The Slarkovs continued to live in peace and prosperity for many centuries. Their society flourished under the guidance of Frombolton's descendants, each chief upholding the values of unity, fairness, and responsibility. The golden energy of Dimension 6 powered their technological advancements, and the planet Humbad thrived. Gustav watched with admiration as the holographic playback depicted the serene and vibrant life on Humbad. The cities were bustling with activity, the streets filled with laughter and the hum of advanced vehicles. Parks and green spaces dotted the landscape, and the Slarkovs lived in harmony with their environment. This is how it should be, Gustav thought, his heart swelling with pride. They have built a world where everyone can thrive. All Westsich Pointers on NO/VLI/N/. CM, however, just when the Slarkovs thought their troubles were behind them, another battle between deities erupted in the cosmos. The playback showed the skies darkening once more, as colossal figures clashed with unimaginable force. The shock waves from their conflict rippled through space, threatening to engulf Humbad in chaos once again. Frombolton, the 47th, the current chief, stood in the command center, his face filled with grim determination. "We cannot allow this to happen again," he said to his advisors. "Our people have suffered enough from the battles of the deities. We must find a way to protect our world." As the situation grew more dire, the same deity who had taken on a human form and saved Humbad previously descended from the heavens. The deity's presence was as awe-inspiring as before, his form glowing with a divine radiance. He raised his hands, and the conflict in the skies ceased, the deities retreating from their battle. The deity, then descended to the surface of Humbad, his expression filled with regret and sorrow. "I have come to apologize once more," he said, his voice resonating with a mix of power and humility. "I have stopped the battle, but I know the damage has been done." From Bolton, the 47th stepped forward, his eyes blazing with anger. "You made a promise to my predecessor," he said, his voice steady but filled with fury. "You said you would ensure that our world would be protected from the battles of the deities. Yet here we are, facing the same threat once again." The deity bowed his head, his expression one of genuine remorse. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "I have tried to prevent these conflicts, but the nature of the deities is beyond my control." From Bolton, the 47th was not placated. "Your apologies mean nothing if they do not translate into action," he said, his voice rising. "Our people should not have to suffer for the clashes of gods. We are mortals, and we deserve to live in peace." The deity looked at From Bolton, the 47th, with a mixture of sorrow and respect. "I understand your anger," he said. "Tell me, what do you want? How can I make amends for the pain my kind has caused?" From Bolton, the 47th took a deep breath, his resolve unwavering. "I want my people far away from the battles of deities," he said. "We should not have to live in fear of divine conflicts. Move us to a place where we can be safe, where we can live our lives without the threat of annihilation hanging over us." The deity considered his words, his expression thoughtful. "It is within my power to grant your request," he said. "I can relocate your entire planet to a distant part of the cosmos, far from the realm of the deities. There, you will be safe from our conflicts." From Bolton, the 47th nodded, his eyes filled with hope and determination. "Do it," he said. "Give my people the peace and security they deserve." The deity raised his hands, and the air around them began to shimmer with a golden light. The ground trembled as the energy of Dimension 6 intertwined with the deity's divine power. Gustav watched in awe as the entire planet was enveloped in a radiant glow, the energy lifting Humbad from its place in the solar system and carrying it across the cosmos. The playback showed the journey of Humbad through the stars, the planet surrounded by a protective barrier of golden light. The Slarkovs watched in wonder and fear as their world traveled to a distant, uncharted region of space. The journey was swift, the energy of Dimension 6 guiding them to their new home. When the light finally faded, Humbad was settled in a tranquil corner of the universe, far from the reach of the deity's battles. The skies were clear, and the sun shone brightly on the planet's surface. The Slarkovs emerged from their shelters, their faces filled with relief and awe. From Bolton, the 47th stood on a high platform, addressing his people. "We have been given a new beginning," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their journey. "Thanks to the intervention of the guardian deity, we are now safe from the battles of the gods. Let us use this opportunity to build a future filled with peace and prosperity." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with hope and gratitude. Gustav felt a deep sense of admiration for From Bolton, the 47th, and the resilience of the Slarkovs. They have faced unimaginable challenges, he thought, but they have always found a way to rise above them. The playback continued to show the Slarkovs adapting to their new home. They rebuilt their cities, using the advanced technology powered by Dimension 6 to create a society that reflected their values and aspirations. The golden energy of Dimension 6 continued to be a source of innovation and progress, helping them to thrive in their new environment. In one scene, Gustav watched as a group of young Slarkovs planted a garden in a park, their faces filled with hope and determination. "We will make our world beautiful again," one of them said, her hands gently patting the soil around a sapling. "We will honor the gift we have been given." From Bolton, the 47th visited the garden, his presence a source of encouragement for the young workers. "Your efforts are vital to our future," he told them. "You are the next generation, and your resilience gives us all hope." Gustav felt a deep connection to the Slarkovs and their journey. Their story is one of redemption and growth, he thought. They have faced unimaginable challenges, but they have found a way to rise above them. As the playback came to an end, Gustav stood in the silent chamber, the weight of what he had witnessed pressing heavily on his heart. The truth about Dimension 6 and the Slarkov struggle had been laid bare before him, and he felt a profound sense of responsibility. "I understand now," he thought. The Slarkov story is a warning and a guide. Their struggles and sacrifices must not be forgotten. I must use what I've learned here to protect our universe and prevent the same fate from befalling us. He looked around the chamber, taking in the intricate machinery and the flickering holograms. The knowledge and technology of the Slarkovs were within his reach, preserved in Dimension 6. It was a treasure trove of information, a lifeline that could help him combat the Dark Plane and protect his world. "I will honor your memory," Gustav vowed, silently. "I will use what you've left behind to ensure that your sacrifices were not in vain." With renewed determination, he approached the central console, ready to delve deeper into the wealth of information contained within the archive. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the nature of the Dark Plane and the means to combat it. The journey was far from over, but Gustav knew that he was on the right path. As he worked, he felt the presence of Miss Amy guiding him, her strength and wisdom echoing in his mind. "You believed in me," he thought, "and I will not let you down." Hours turned into days as Gustav continued his search, the vast archive revealing its secrets to him. He learned about the advanced technology of the Slarkovs, their struggles and triumphs, and the forces that had ultimately led to their downfall. Each piece of knowledge was a step closer to finding a solution, a way to protect their universe from the same fate. "The Slarkovs' legacy will not be forgotten," he vowed. "I will use what I have learned here to ensure a brighter future for all." The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but Gustav felt ready to face them. The knowledge and technology of Humbad provided him with the tools he needed to combat the Dark Plane and prevent the final premonition from coming to pass. With renewed resolve, he continued his work, guided by the strength and wisdom of those who had come before him. As the stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities that lay ahead, Gustav pressed on. The future of the universe hung in the balance, but he was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure its survival. As the holographic playback continued, showing the aftermath of the latest battle between deities that had once again threatened Humbad. The deity who had previously saved the Slarkovs descended to the planet, his form glowing with an ethereal light. As he landed on the surface, he was met by Bolton the 47th, whose expression was one of anger and frustration. "You made a promise to my predecessor," Bolton the 47th began, his voice steady but filled with fury. "You said you would ensure that our world would be protected from the battles of the deities. Yet here we are, facing the same threat once again." The deity bowed his head, his expression one of genuine remorse. "I am deeply sorry," he said. "I have tried to prevent these conflicts, but the nature of the deities is beyond my control." Bolton the 47th's eyes blazed with anger. "Your apologies mean nothing if they do not translate into action," he said, his voice rising. "Our people should not have to suffer for the clashes of gods. We are mortals, and we deserve to live in peace." The deity looked at Bolton the 47th with a mixture of sorrow and respect. "I understand your anger," he said. "Tell me, what do you want? How can I make amends for the pain my kind has caused?" Bolton the 47th took a deep breath, his resolve unwavering. "I want my people far away from the battles of deities," he said. We should not have to live in fear of divine conflicts. Move us to a place where we can be safe, where we can live our lives without the threat of annihilation hanging over us. The deity considered his words, his expression thoughtful. It is within my power to grant your request, he said. But altering reality to move your planet as far away as possible will likely have some unintended consequences. From Bolton, the 47th didn't hesitate. I don't care, he said firmly. Do whatever it takes to ensure our safety. The deity nodded. Very well. The power to alter reality lies within Dimension 6. You must use it to achieve your goal. From Bolton, the 47th looked at the deity with determination. Tell me what I need to do. The deity raised his hand, and a path of golden light appeared, leading to the heart of Dimension 6. Follow this path and ask Dimension 6 to move your planet. The energy within will respond to your request. That you're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.